Hello, my name is Tom Hecker, and I chose to do research into the fairly radical topic of the decriminalization of all drugs. Prior to my research into the topic, I was skeptical of the idea. Like most people, I was under the assumption that the decriminalization of all drugs might set a bad example for children and promote drug abuse. However, some strong counterarguments found in my research has changed my stance on the issue. I am now in strong support of the decriminalization of all drugs. Three major arguments changed my viewpoint on the topic as a whole. There is the moral issue presented in punishing abusers, the failure of prior harsh policy to improve upon the situation of drug abuse, and there is the success of the program in other countries, such as that of Switzerland or Portugal. To start, there is the issue of morality and punishment. Douglas Huzak, a professor of philosophy and law at the University of New Jersey, projected this unique yet seemingly common sense issue in regards to the morality and punishment of drug abusers. The idea that drug abuse is a virtually victimless crime. Excluding to the drug abuser themselves, no one is directly harmed in the crime. It is the person's own will to harm themselves. This presents an issue to the punishment of the crime. If no one is getting hurt, then why should the abusers be punished? The simple answer is, they shouldn't. The American Health Association lists drug addiction as a disease, yet as a population, we treat it as though it's a crime. Compare that same sort of punishment to people who are suicidal. As a society, it would be wrong to throw people who are attempting suicide in jail. Instead, we attempt to treat them, and the same should go for drug abusers. It is morally wrong to punish people for a disease, no matter the current societal view of drug abuse. As for my second reason, prior attempts at enforcing harsh drug policy has utterly failed. The war on drugs, the massive push towards a crackdown of drug abuse, and fight against large trafficking of drugs has had little to no success in producing results. Jessica Bress, director of the Metropolitan Police Academy in D.C., stated that despite massive seizures of cocaine by the U.S. Drug Enforcement and the shutdown of large networks in the trade of cocaine, stated that the street value of cocaine never once increased during that time. This meaning that the total flow of cocaine was virtually unaffected by attempts by the U.S. to reduce the flow. Attempting to go after the source, while a seemingly noble cause by the government, hasn't resulted in success. Time and time again, drug dealers and networks are able to stay steps ahead of the U.S. drug enforcement. The drug war also brought about the new issue of mass incarceration in America. Press also reports that prison population increased by 420% due to the war on drugs. This is due to the institution of minimal sentencing for abusers, leading to prisons being filled with drug abusers. My prior point presents major issues with this outcome. My final reason is that the implementation of the decriminalization of all drugs in other countries has resulted in a great deal of success for those countries. Portugal and Switzerland being a primary example of these. Portugal, setting up programs for officers to suggest and assist abusers into rehabilitation programs and redistributing funds towards these programs that help abusers with their situation. Samantha Banbury, a senior lecturer at the London Metropolitan University, reported that data suggests that drug abuse in Portugal is less than that of the rest of Europe, and that drug-related crimes resulting in jail time dropped by 20% in Portugal. Portugal isn't the only place that these policies have shown success either. Switzerland, taking an even more radical approach, has seen positive results as well. Switzerland legally distributing medically pure heroin to abusers as a substitute to the dangers of the drug on the street. Officials don't encourage users to lower dosage either. Instead, abusers are put into programs to assist them into finding housing and employment. Despite the lack of encouragement towards abusers to stop abuse, Johann Hari, a best-selling author on multiple books dealing with drug abuse, reports that a majority of chronic users quit. This is due to the issue not necessarily being an issue of abuse, yet abuse being a result of the situation. Communities with high drug abuse statistically have lower employment and lack proper housing. Once that aspect of the situation has been improved upon, drug abuse lowers as a result. These programs have proven to work in multiple cases, and there is now a growing push in more and more places towards the decriminalization of all drugs. In conclusion, the decriminalization of all drugs is not necessarily a radical idea. From a moral standpoint of society, the idea of punishing abusers is wrong, being as though the crime is victimless. Not only that, the prior policy, particularly that formed by the push towards the war on drugs, has failed and has resulted in no more than the mass incarceration of abusers. Instead, we should focus our policy to that similar of Portugal and Switzerland, the decriminalization of drugs, and instead focus on treatment of abusers. If you couldn't tell based on my vlog, my position has drastically changed in favor of decriminalization. Thank you.